We finally have an Assassin's Creed set in Japan, a historical setting that fans have wanted for years because, you know, ninjas. And it's been a hot topic since Ubisoft revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows and decided that the theme of their marketing campaign should be PR nightmare. And it also doesn't help that someone sorta already made this game. Now, I don't purposefully want to shock you with what I'm about to say next, but after spending many hours gallivanting around 16th century Japan, I'm not only blown away by just how beautiful and fun Assassin's Creed Shadow is, but I think I might actually like it more than Ghost of Tsushima. And trust me when I say that this is as much of a surprise to me as it might be to you. Especially when I tell you that one of the strangest compliments that I can give this as an Assassin's Creed game, and this is completely true, is that on more than one occasion, I completely forgot I was actually playing an Assassin's Creed. On top of that, there's one specific feature of Assassin's Creed Shadows that for a lot of gamers gives it the edge over Ghost of Tsushima. This is my review of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let's take a look. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been shrouded in controversy since it was announced around its choice of protagonists, its historical accuracy, and its respect for Japanese culture. And I'm mostly putting aside all the online controversy and opinions for a moment and giving you my straight opinion on if Assassin's Creed Shadows is worth playing.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Assassin's Creed changed into these big open world RPGs a while back, and it was kinda cool with Origins. Odyssey was cool too, but too damn big, and by the time I played Valhalla, I was just pretty much burned out. I was so amped for the arrival of Ghost of Tsushima though back in 2020 that I actually went on a samurai film adventure, and I loved it all, so much so that I made a video about some great samurai films to watch, which I'll link below and in the video. Despite that, I still jumped into Assassin's Creed Shadow not really knowing if there was anything to be excited about and whether or not this was gonna just waste my time. Something that the recent Assassin's Creed games have become very good at. Unlike Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla, AC Shadows lets you play as and swap between two different protagonists. Naoe, a young stealthy Japanese woman,
No way.
and Yasuke, a tall beefy black African man who comes to Japan with the white folk and impresses a Japanese lord with his size and strength, ultimately being taken in by him and becoming one of his samurai. After a short introduction to the game's two protagonists, things actually kick off with you only playing Naoe for pretty much the entire first act of the game, which runs anywhere between 8 to 12 hours or 14 to 15 hours if you're me. And this sets the stage for the story as well as getting things like your hub world headquarters up and running and teaching you how most of the game mechanics work. Speaking of those mechanics, I've appreciated quite a lot of the game's new features and how they've been implemented, including customizing my HUD to be a lot less intrusive and the ability to bring up a line on the floor that guides you to your destination, which may not be nearly as cool as Ghost of Tsushima using the wind to guide you. But it's a whole lot better than auto riding when your horse isn't proving a little difficult to control, that is. I must also note that the animus mostly stays out of things, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me. I'm not going to beat around the bush though. Playing with Naoe has been some of the best, most fun stealth gameplay that I've enjoyed in years. The ability to now go prone and crawl around on rooftops and in the grass gave me some serious Metal Gear Solid 3 vibes. And when combined with other features like the grappling hook and auto cover systems, I just found myself completely immersed and enjoying the experience. The balance is also just so that once things eventually go to hell, it's just as much fun with a host of different weapons, cool moves and abilities, as well as many different ways to either get away, regroup, or just continue to be a damn nuisance. It's honestly just been great fun. Naoe's story also starts expanding more as you experience her loss, her pain, and her need for vengeance. Something I really appreciated and enjoyed is that both characters really feel like their skills and abilities are earned within the context of the story. There's no one here kicking ass just because they believe in themselves. And what's even more is that the writing and dialogue always feels natural to the characters and the environment, and seems to serve the story at all times, never feeling strangely modern or out of place. There are a few points where you have to make decisions in the game, but when given the choice, I leaned into the dish best served cold direction for Naoe whenever I could, who I really started to get into as a character. And so, as things progressed, a problem and some questions started to form in my mind. Where is Yasuke and why am I not playing him yet? And very honestly, do I even feel like I need him in my game at all? And the honest answer was no. 12 hours in, I was enjoying Naoe's gear and level progression, her shinobi assassin gameplay and her story so much that I actually started getting annoyed by this idea that someone new was going to get involved, like an uninvited guest at a dinner party. Once Yasuke enters the picture, however, things are already rolling, so you only really have to feel out his differences to go from there. And unlike Naoe and her stealthy antics, Yasuke is a human wrecking ball, literally smashing his way through obstacles and delivering super gory executions, big damage and bone-crunching hits. Truth be told, fighting as Yasuke is fun, but traversal and exploration is a complete chore compared to Naoe. And it feels like it would have made a lot of sense to have him rather feature as a sort of secondary character that features in the story that you only play as in specific scenarios, kind of like how they handled Ciri in The Witcher 3. Not only that, but it would have opened up the door for Ubisoft to sell Yasuke's story DLC if they wanted and if he was popular, and simultaneously keep Japan front and center. Speaking of Japan, the world in Assassin's Creed Shadows is absolutely gorgeous, thanks to jaw-dropping graphics and technical wizardry. The delays paid off too, because even in a pre-release state, the performance felt rock solid and it felt like a really polished experience with only a few minor bugs along the way. Oh, how far we've come, Ubisoft. This is a game that is already beautiful in 60 FPS performance mode, but staggeringly pretty in the 30 FPS quality mode, and, what I highly recommend if you can do it, the 40 FPS balanced mode for those who have 120Hz screens. In these modes, the ray traced lighting and high levels of detail and image quality really make it look the part, and even if you don't have the balanced option, it's good enough that I'd argue that it's possibly worth the drop to 30 FPS. Video quality can only show you so much though, so to show you what I mean, here are a few stills of the graphics to give you a better idea of just how beautiful the graphics really are, although some have to be seen moving to be fully appreciated, and that brings me to my next point. I've never seen foliage quite like this in a game, and the addition and nod to Akira Kurosawa's samurai films, also seen even more prominently in Ghost of Tsushima, means that the world is brought to life by weather, with wind blowing through the trees, dust being kicked down the streets, and leaves whirling around you as you perform acrobatic assaults on your enemies. Similar to a system like Forza Horizon 5, the game cycles through seasons, and not only do they each bring a unique visual appearance, but they affect the behavior in the world as well. NPCs are dressed warm in winter, and castles or compounds may have less security to deal with in the rain or snow as the fancy pants highbloods go inside to stay warm, while the grunts have to stay outside and freeze their butts off. I could go on for ages about things like the really impressive and unique character animations, or the system that accurately places your feet on the environments in a way that I don't think I've either seen or noticed in any other game before, at least not to this degree. The sound design and music is also beautiful and worth writing home about, but I'm not going to elaborate because I need to spend that time making my next point very clear to you. Please make sure you use the immersive mode for audio, as playing the game in full Japanese with subtitles sounds and feels amazing. Although, I wish Yasuke spoke with a slightly more broken Japanese and sounded a little less like a man who's lived in Japan all his life. I swapped over to English at times to test out the difference.
These sacks are old. Rats might have eaten through them.
We don't do that here.
And a lot of it sounds laughable and pulled me out of the experience so hard compared to the accurate languages and their voice acting. I very particularly disliked the choice of Naoe's voice artist, especially when her Japanese voice sounds perfectly suited to her age, while the English voice just sounds wrong.
Oda Nobunaga took everything I loved. He will not escape.
Remember, immersive mode on. You won't regret it. I started my review by saying that Assassin's Creed Shadows has one feature that I think gives it the edge over Ghost of Tsushima, and it's the kind of feature which many GOT fans might not even realize. And that is a multi-platform release. You might think that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but sure, you can play Ghost of Tsushima on PC now that it's finally out, but you couldn't at launch, and you still can't and likely never will on an Xbox, of course. So the argument can't be made to an Xbox gamer that Ghost of Tsushima is a better game than Assassin's Creed Shadows, simply because they'll only have access to one of them. And with the release of the Switch 2 coming, there's maybe a chance they'll get a version to work on there for Nintendo gamers too. Is that fair on Ghost of Tsushima as a game? Not really, but for actual gamers it can make all the difference in the world. So when it comes to the whole world and experience provided in Assassin's Creed Shadows, you've still got a lot of those Ubisoft things to do, which include finding scrolls at temples to unlock new ability levels, side missions, hub world building, upgrades, shrines you can pray at for boosts, relationships you can form to unlock abilities in combat, and a whole lot more, including some cool systems where you have to use spies to scope out areas you're going to. What I can tell you is that for someone like me who's interested in fun gameplay, a beautiful world to explore, and a campaign story with characters I want to follow, rather than some big over-bloated game with tons of things to do, it's checked pretty much every box so far in the time I've spent playing. And I'm not one of those 200-hour Assassin's Creed people, and I definitely haven't spent that amount of time in AC Shadows yet. So if you're one of those fans, I can't really tell you what you're going to get out of it in the long run. And if it feels better or worse than Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins in terms of grinding, equipment, and general bloat. If you're looking for a traditional Assassin's Creed experience a la Altair or Ezio, you're not going to find it here. However, if you're worried about yet another open world Assassin's Creed slog, I'm really happy with the experience I've had playing AC Shadows, and despite times where their missions might force you to have to run off and do some side things to progress, I could have the fun, story-based game I was looking for, knowing full well that there's hours and hours of content available for me to unravel and work through if I wanted it. I'm still genuinely stunned that I went from barely caring about this game's release to realizing that I'm absolutely in love with it. I also can't believe that while I struggled a little to get into Ghost of Tsushima when it released on PS4, this hooked me early and completely. At the time of writing, I have no idea how other reviewers are going to feel about it, but all I can tell you is that I've enjoyed my time with Assassin's Creed Shadows immensely. The stealth gameplay is great, the combat is a lot of fun, the world is a marvel to behold, and the delays seem to have paid off by delivering a very high quality, polished experience on console, and I very highly and happily recommend it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to let me know, and make sure you subscribe and check out these other videos. Thanks for watching, I'll see you soon.